I knew I would be fine. It was hard to kind of see that, right there in front of me when it happened.
Sure.
But it was so much that came out of that from going through that. I don't think I would be the person, and it's easy for me to say that now, but I don't think I would be the person or the man I am right now had I not gone through that. Had I still be 33, still playing basketball. I mean, I think I've accomplished so much more off the court than I did on the court, and I'm a national champion.
Welcome to Download Success, a podcast where we sit down with business owners and entrepreneurs and discuss life, strategies to manifest success, and the ugly truth about running a business.
Are you ready? Yo. This is Chris, and I'll be your host for Download Success. Welcome back, guys. Not only am I the host here at Download Success, I'm also a small business owner and entrepreneur here in the central Kentucky area, owner of Cornerstone Masons, your go-to masonry and design company.
And I'm Phil, your co-host and executive producer of Download Success. But in real life, I run a full-service web design company based in Lexington, Kentucky, Click Factory. Well, guys, we've got an amazing episode for you today. We've got a member of the 2012 NCAA National Championship basketball team with us today. Yes, that's right. That same team, the Kentucky Wildcats basketball team. And we're going to be discussing kind of what he's been up to the past 10 years since leaving Kentucky. He's been writing some books. He's started a couple businesses, and he's seen his fair share of some ups and downs, closed doors, stuff like that. So we're excited to sit down and talk to him.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, man, what this guy has done outside of UK basketball, which is a great accomplishment in itself, right? To be a part of a national championship team in 2012, to be able to go on and do and pursue, the ventures that he's went on, writing and publishing several books. Public speaking, reaching back out to the younger generation and kind of giving them some guidance and some tools to go out here and be successful, man. And that in itself is just unreal.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited. So let's jump right into it. Twany, how's it going?
Welcome, Twany.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank y'all for having me.
So typically, what we do is we'll just go down through here. We send out a questionnaire to any of the people that's going to come on and interview, and just to get some feedback. You've got some great accomplishments, Twany, man. You've from what you've sent to us, you played for UK back in 2012. You want to tell us a little bit about that and that experience?
Yeah, I first went to Mississippi State, where I played 2.5 years there. My freshman year, we won the SEC championship. I was able to come back home to Lexington and play Kentucky my freshman year. We beat them, which was, which was dope. And my sophomore year in college, I had double hip surgery. I had bone spurs on my hips, and so I missed my entire sophomore season. With being 20 years old and having hip surgery was tough.
Sure.
But I was able to kind of rehabilitate, come back, and I was starting as a third year sophomore. And around Christmas time, I decided that Mississippi State wasn't for me, and I decided to transfer, and not knowing where I was going to go. UK had always been my dream school, and I got the opportunity to come in to meet with Kyle, and sat down with Kyle, and Kyle looked at me in the face and said, I want you to come here. I know you can play, but if you come here, I want you to also understand you might not ever play for me.
Wow.
Being the type of players that I recruit. And I looked Kyle in the face. I said, I'm coming. I ain't even had to think about it. And I had other opportunities to go to other schools, and with coaches telling me I was going to come there and play, a significant amount of minutes. But Kyle looking me in the face and saying, I want you to come. You might not ever play. I love a challenge.
Yeah, sure.
And so, by him saying that, and then him being who he is, UK being my dream school was like kind of a no-brainer. And a lot of people in my family didn't see it that way. A lot of people question that decision. Why would you go there if coach is telling you you're not going to play? But, I kind of thought outside the box. I'll go back home, play for UK, keep my nose clean, work hard. I know I'm good enough to play, so I might play. But the connections and the relationships I make during that time will set me up for life. And people didn't see that. I saw it. And so long story short, I transferred to Kentucky. My first year, we go to the Final Four. The team with Brandon Knight, Duran, and all those guys. And then here come a class with Anthony Davis and Gilchrist and those guys. And we won the championship, and I was a huge part. I didn't get eligible until the second half of the season, which kind of hurt me in a sense because the starting five and the rotations were kind of set. But still, Cal was still able to put me in games.
Nice.
Still get in, played the Louisville, Kentucky game, got in some other games as well. So it was kind of for me a dream come true, while also getting a chance to play with future NBA players and practice with those guys every single day and prove to myself that I was good enough. And then so we went a championship and then come back as a senior. It's my time to really step up and have an opportunity, and then have back surgery, which ultimately ended my career.
Ended your career. Wow. Let's talk about that for a minute, because we're going to talk about setbacks. And I know that we briefly talked about some things that's happened through my journey that's ultimately led me to making decisions that I've made today. That had to be a crazy transition in your life to work so hard, and at that point probably accomplished more than most people ever will in a lifetime. So the confidence that comes behind that, just to say, hey, and I can see that in you, Twany, that you're just confident in who you are as a person, aside from anything else.
Yes,
but I couldn't imagine, man, the accomplishment of just going to UK, right? Because it's the best school in the nation.
Best school in the country.
In the country, yeah. And then to have that all stripped away from you.
Overnight.
Yeah,
I wake up one morning and I was in my dorm room. And I had moved to Atlanta for the summer. And I got in shape. I did everything I could possibly do to come back and be ready. Worked on my game. My jumper got better. I was physically in the best shape I had ever been in my life. And, we were practicing, getting ready for Big Blue Madness. And then I wake up one morning in my dorm room and I had no feeling in my body. So I get out of bed and I'm thinking maybe I slept wrong. So I go to class, still no feeling in my body. I get to practice that day, and I told one of the trainers, I said, I can't feel my body. How am I going to practice today? And of course, you tell somebody that, who's going to believe you?
Right.
Like, you can't feel nothing in your body. And so we start practicing, and then everybody lay up. And I just, kind of raise my hand and excuse myself from practice. And of course, everybody still, my teammates are looking at me crazy, like, what's going on?
What are you doing, man?
What are you doing, man? And it was embarrassing. And so I had to go get an MRI. And then I just remember sitting there with my mom and the doctor coming back and telling me, like, you got 2 herniated discs, your L4, your L5. Like, in order to get feeling back in your body again, we got to do the surgery. Sure. And so I said, no, I ain't giving up that easy. So I got 3 epidurals, and I would get a little feeling back, and then it would go away again. And then after the 3rd one, I said, this is it. And it was terrible. It was a terrible feeling because like you said, you work so hard to get to a certain point in your life, and to watch it all come down and crash in front of you and in front of the world. You playing in Kentucky. Back home, my friends, my family, just the relationships I had built, and everybody was counting on me just to get out there and show what I was capable of showing them. And then for the doctor to come in and say, it's over for you. It crushed me. So out went the NBA dreams. Out went even playing overseas. Out went, making money fresh out of college to buy my mom a house and get us out of that rut we had been in for so long. All of that went out the window overnight. And it was just so thankful that I made that decision, as I mentioned before, while transferring, to go to a place like Kentucky, a place that they embraced that. A place that I was able to make relationships, a place that I was able to have a coach that cared, that said it doesn't matter about that you're not going to be able to play basketball, but you in the city, you went to a school that loves its players, that loves its kids, so you'll be fine. And everything that I had been through my life from the time I've been a kid, watching my mom struggle and go through what she went through, fine. It was hard to kind of see that, right there in front of me when it happened.
Sure.
But it was so much that came out of that from going through that. I don't think I would be the person, and it's easy for me to say that now, but I don't think I would be the person or the man I am right now had I not gone through that. Had I still be 33, still playing basketball. I mean, I think I've accomplished so much more off the court than I did on the court, and I'm a national champion.
And I wanted to, so as you were talking, I was thinking about my life and how sometimes, we're set up for success and failure. And whenever I've fallen, and I feel like the whole world is just falling out from underneath my feet, that's breeding ground for success. It's a solid. It's God works in my life in mysterious ways, and I know that you said that you came up, in Louisville. It sounds like you struggled a little bit, which ultimately put you in a position, I believe, if I'm referencing my experience, to be put in a position to overcome some adversities. So it sounds like you had a tough life up until that point, which prepared you for that moment.
Yeah.
And then God had other plans for you.
Yeah.
God had other plans for you. Twany brought us a book that he authored when he came in, and I was hoping he did. I spoke to Phil about it.
I was like, "Don't get your hopes up, man."
Get your hopes up, man. And he did. He brought us. It's called Pressure.
Yeah, Pressure. Yeah.
It's called Pressure, man.
I don't know where we're talking now, and I can kind of get a grasp of where you are in your life, both of you, but after reading Pressure, I think that you are going. Matter of fact, I know that you are going to be in an incredible space after reading the entire book.
Nice.
Because you're going to heal in so many ways that when I wrote the book, it's like I healed in so many ways, and people who read it and gave me feedback also said the same thing, because I wrote it I was just in a good space in my life. A lot of relationships that I needed to heal from, a lot of things that I went through as a child I needed to heal from.
And that's tough, right?
It's
just
tough.
to go through that process of healing. We were talking about, not to cut you off, Twany, but we were talking about mental health, which is something that has been a prominent thing in my life as far as overcoming some adversities in mental health, whether it be anxiety or depression or just some PTSD from some of the things that I went through and seen throughout my life. And then, you spoke about that too. Why is mental health and that whole aspect, why is it so important to you?
Man, it's very important, man. I am somebody who's in the public eye. A lot of times I put myself out there, I'm vulnerable. I try to be that inspiration to many, to a lot of kids, to adults, to business owners, to teachers, to coaches. I try to show up to be my best self, but I understand that it takes a lot on the back end.
Sure.
And if I'm not my best self when I show up, then I can't help somebody else be their best self.
That's right.
And so you look at that and say, well, how do you get to being your best self? Because in this world right now, we're going through a lot. Everybody has a story. Everybody has struggles. Everybody has, their ups and their downs. But how do you maintain a good mind frame? How do you stay positive within your mental? And I think a lot of times we didn't know what that looked like, and we still don't know what that looked like in totality. We just going by it day by day. And so I've studied, I've watched people, I've listened to coaches, and I think when you wake up every day and you don't have a cloudy mind, you have your mind is clear, then you can be successful. You can accomplish what you want to accomplish in the midst of your trials and your tribulations. And so I do a lot of things on the back end, man, whether if it's read, yoga, I meditate, stay in the Bible, I go to church.
Yeah, man.
I fellowship with different people, I help people. There's a lot of things you can do to help with your mental health, but you have to figure out what that is. And it's, I think, one of the most important aspects to being a good, solid person and a positive person when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I agree completely. I like the fact, and that faith has played in so much of an important role in where where I came from and where I am now, right? Not only that, just being able to identify. If I can identify a problem, then I can start working towards a solution.
Yeah.
So a lot of that came into play with just being aware of my own BS, aware of my own things that need to work on. Because if I can work on Chris and what it is that tends to make me react the way that I am towards a certain situation, or if this triggers me a certain way, it starts with me, man. It starts with me, man, and it starts within. Ultimately, the relationship with God has been so important and so detrimental in every aspect of my life, even as far as back as I can remember, I can see, God's hand in my life. But to watch His anointing now and to understand it's nothing, well, it's all about me and I need to do some soul searching. It has nothing to do with me. Yeah. It has everything to do with everybody else around me. And for me, we're blessed to be a blessing. Everything that I went through, if I utilize that experience to reach out and help someone else and be a good steward of the experience that I went through, then none of it was in vain. Mm-hmm. But it's up to me what I do with what's been given to me.
What's been given to you, yep.
I don't want to keep this about me. I tend to do that a lot, but I can relate.
No, that's good.
Man.
We having a conversation, man. I always like to tell people when I get on podcasts or we talk, man, when we get up from the table, we all should be healed in some type of way.
Yeah, man.
I'm the guest, but you're also talking and healing as well.
Yeah, for sure. Tell us a little bit about the business venture that you're on now. I know that we went through your time at UK, but what happened after that kind of catapulted you into the direction that you are going now, as far as motivational speaking and an author and working with kids and stuff?
Great question, man. So, as I look back on my life now, and I always ask myself, like, why didn't those around me kind of tell me how smart I was or intelligent I was? Everything was about a basketball. Mm-hmm. Everything was about making it to the professional level. Mm-hmm. And kids that grew up where I come from were never told to tap into that, your intelligence, tap into if you want to be a businessman, or tap into if you want to do something outside of football, basketball, whatever sport it was that you played. And so when I had my injury and life took a turn, I had to tap into that. Mm-hmm. But
you didn't have a choice.
I didn't have a choice, but I always knew it was there because, my entire college career, I maintained like a 3.5 or above.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was on the dean's list every single year I was in college. But when I was in high school, I didn't have those grades. And so anybody would look at me and said, I don't know if he's smart. I don't know if he's this and that. I knew I was, but in high school, I just didn't apply myself. Mm-hmm. You just playing ball, you're trying to get to the next level. That's all you really cared about. Mm-hmm. And so when I had to focus on something else, it was easy for me. The transition was tough because, yes, God took something away from me. But always having the ideas to be a businessman, always having the ideas that I wanted to be something bigger than just a basketball player. I wanted to be more than. Mm-hmm. That became easy to me because I've always had these ideas. I just didn't know when they would come out. And so I never thought I would be a public speaker. I never thought I would be a motivational speaker. I always knew I would be somebody the kids looked up to because I play sports. And so kids coming up behind you, they automatically see, he's playing at UK, he's on TV, he's coming back to our community, he's showing us the good, coming back and bringing my reign back. So I knew I would always be inspiration, but being inspiration with using my words is powerful. And that's something I never thought I would do. And so when I had to transfer and go do something else, I sat in my dorm room and I was trying to figure out what that looked like. And so I just started journaling. And then I never knew it would turn into a book. How I felt journaling, I said, wow, this is amazing. I'm healing, telling my story, just putting it down on a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. And then 7-8 months later, here I got an entire book. And so I go to Coach Cal. I'm like, Coach, man, I think I'm going to write a book. Would you mind doing the forward for me? Mm-hmm. And so he did the forward. So every day of my senior year in college, I can't walk, just had back surgery. I'm going to practice. I didn't get to travel with the team, so I would, go to class, do my work, and then at night sit in my dorm and just write. Mm-hmm. And
that was your outlet.
That was my outlet, was writing. And then the first time I touched that book, the first time I touched my book, I said, oh, wow, this is it. Mm-hmm. Like I had a physical copy of my book and it changed everything for me. And then I think the first speaking engagement I had was like 5 people. Literally, I didn't know how to prepare to speak. I didn't know what I was actually going to talk about. I just showed up. I showed up. And when I left, the 5 people that was there, they was all crying. And I said, wow, I got something. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know how I did speaking wise. Mm-hmm. I just saw the impact that my words had. And I said, wow. So one thing led to another. I started getting requests to come and share my testimony in different places. And it just grew from there. So I remember starting out as speaking in front of 5 people to now like I keynote at large events. And so every time before I go on stage and I'm standing to the side of the stage, man, and they going through my bio and call me up, man, it's like a kid in a candy store. Like I get so excited about that because I never thought I would be walking on the stage with a nice shirt or suit on or whatever I got on, man, and about to speak to 500 to how many other people's in the room and share my story and move people with my words.
Impact them like that.
Impact them with my words, not shooting a basketball.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think so. As far as basketball and sports in general, it's to entertain.
Yeah.
When you're speaking to somebody's soul, man, you know, and somebody might get bent out of shape because you missed a basket, but and cuss and, you know, cry or whatever. But when you're speaking to somebody's soul, man, and a group of people's soul, and you can see the impact that you've got on their life because they can relate. To exactly what you are going through or have went through. And like what you were talking about, that healing that comes from that, because your outlet was writing. You were able to put that on paper. Yep. Some is speaking. We've got therapists, this, that, and the third. When you're giving your testimony, and I can feel where you've been, bro, because I've been there.
Yeah.
That's a different type of healing.
It's a different type. Like every time I come off stage, I feel like I just won that 2012 championship
all over again.
I come off stage and you have such a high that if you just inspire one person in the crowd, then you did your job.
Sure.
Well, if it's 1 or 500 that's in the room, if I move one person to start thinking differently or to realize that, man, there's more to life than these small problems that we have, depending on how you approach the situation, you know, I leave that place and I'm like, oh my God, like I just did something that that I just feel so excited and joyful about. And so I go from speaking, like I mentioned, speaking to small groups to now being the keynote to now speaking in front of entire high schools, middle schools, elementaries. I just spoke in my first Fortune 100 company. And so it's been a blessing, man, and I'm only going to continue to grow in that. So I started the company called One Dream Group, and that's what I kind of use as my umbrella to speak and sell my books. Mm-hmm. So I go from doing that so I've been doing that 9+ years now. I've been a public speaker.
Interesting.
Yeah,
nice.
So I would like to say I'm a pretty good professional when it comes to that.
Yeah, man, you got some experience in that field.
Man. Yeah. So a little bit over a year ago, you know, I'm 4 books in that I've written personally, 4 books in. And so I always get a lot of requests online or people that I know reach out to me and say, man, I need help writing a book. How'd you do it? Mm-hmm. And so me, you know, I'm like, man, like who I am, I would sit on the phone all day and help you and tell you. But I said, nah, I'm gonna put some structure around this because, you know, I'm busy. I got a lot of stuff going on. But also, how can I use what I've been able to experience and accomplish to help somebody else? Sure. And a lot of times people want to write books, they want to do things, but sometimes don't have the resources or don't know how. Mm-hmm. And so I got with a guy by the name of Van Morelli, who's he's written movies, he's producer, he's Hollywood. I mean, he's written like 40 books himself.
Nice. Wow.
So we got together and I went to him one day and I said, hey man, you mind starting a publishing company with me so we can have impact in a way that I don't think nobody's ever had, you know, especially around here. You know, me being a young former athlete, to have my own publishing company to help people publish books. I said, I think that'd be something that'd be amazing. I think it could add value to the people that we know or people that we don't even know. And so
you're going to continue to pay that forward.
I mean, so we got together, man. We got the paperwork done, and we started the company. And man, I think we've got we've owned 4 or 5 books now from people that, and within a year, that have came to us.
So this is relatively new.
Yes, new.
Okay.
And I just it's a girl by the name of Brittany, and she came to me a little while back, and it's like, you know, when you consult with people and they talk about their story and wanting to put that into a book, so we consult, and I want to hear your story, and I want to see where your story can go, because our company is all about how can you impact somebody. We're not just taking any books. You know, we don't want to take a book where you're dissing somebody or you're being negative. No, we want all books that are inspiration. And
yeah, man.
And she came to me and said, man, she wanted to write a book. She don't know how. She don't know where to start. But her testimony, her story was powerful. And so when she got her first book, and to see what they've done for her life. And now I'm watching her as I sit back on social media, speak and move people in her comments, like, thank you for doing it. You know what I mean? It just makes me feel good. And I don't have to be out in front of her on the camera or, I know I helped her, and just to sit back and watch her help people, it feels amazing.
I love your heart, man. I love your heart, and I love people that have hearts like you. And in the midst of all this ugliness that goes on in this world, we can still just be kind. It's that simple, right?
Yep.
And I think and there are people that have just been through so much that are so broken. Sometimes it's not familiar to be kind, but just sitting here and watching your demeanor and who you are, and I can see the expression on your face. You guys, this isn't live, y'all can't see, but as he's talking, you can just see Twany glowing about, talking about helping people, man, and that's what it's about today. We've got so much negative that just takes. It's nice to have. It's like a breath of fresh air to have somebody that's like-minded that just wants to reach back out and help other people, man, and they get gratification after seeing them accomplish something and heal too, right? Because they're going through a healing process at that point. I'm going to move on to this next question here. You got a lot of great answers to all of this, man. I know you got a lot to say. Define success, and what does success mean to you, Twany?
Success is whatever you make it. It's subjective. And for me, as I mentioned, in my response, where I come from, making it out of that situation, the community in which I made it out of, like, I have a lot of friends that didn't make it. They died, gun violence, didn't go to college, just had no opportunity to make it from there, and to be one of those kids that, let's say I beat that stat, I'm successful. And there's nothing that nobody in life gonna tell me that's gonna change my mind frame when it comes to that. Because I know how much work I put into just making it out of there. And it's not even about, yes, my athletic ability played a large part in that, but I've always had this mind frame since I was a kid. I didn't always run with the crowd, and I stepped off that path sometimes. You live in a community where people are not always doing the right things. You get caught up into some of that.
For sure.
But, for the most part, I always stayed to myself, stayed narrow-minded, and I knew where I wanted to go. And so it's
Make good choices.
Make good choices. And it's great to look back and say, wow, I have a friend that ain't here no more, and I remember the decisions that they used to make, and I could have made that decision with them. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go home. So just to make it from that, man, I'm successful.
Yep. If you never did anything else in your life,
if never did anything else, I'm successful. If I never made another dollar, there's nothing you can tell me, look me in my face and say, or make me feel that would make me believe any other type of way. Man, I made it from that. And to even go to my mom to see me go to college, to my mom to see me walk across that stage and get my degree. Man. My mom to see me win a national championship. My mom to see me helping people write books. My mom to see me become an author. Like, that's uncommon from kids and where I grew up.
Sure.
So, yes, I'm successful. Now, I'm super highly motivated. I want to knock over the mountain. I want to get to the top. I want to be the best at it. If I'm going to do something, I want to be the best at it.
For sure.
So, I want to be the best speaking the world. I want to be the best agent in the world. I want to be the best publication company. So there are goals that I have, but I'm not going to judge myself if I don't get there.
Sure.
And say I'm a failure. There's things I want to do in life. There's things I want to accomplish. There's things I want to attain. But if I don't, I'm okay, because I know I put the hard work in. So that's success to me.
Yeah. Steve Harvey, man, I listen to Steve. I love his motivational speeches, man, and he talks about these vision boards and just putting things out there into the universe, right? And I'm able to look at it and say, these are some of the goals that I've set. And I've got one down here, man, and some of them people will be like, whoa, there's 1 on there. I'm like, why would you ever write that? But at the end of the day, these are goals, right? And this gives me ambition to push and, strive towards these goals.
Yeah.
I've already accomplished more in the last 3 years than most people will ever accomplish in a lifetime.
Right.
You feel me? So now I'm at a point to where these are goals are still gonna, when I reach this one, I'm gonna set another one. So it's never ending for me. I can see that with you too.
And we're going to hit the pause button right there for this week, as we have a lot more to chat about with Twany Beckham. So join us next week for part 2 of Download Success with Twany Beckham.
This has been the Download Success Podcast at downloadmysuccess.com. For more information about Twany Beckham, please visit his website at twannybeckham.com. Download Success. New episodes every Tuesday. Are you ready?